What's going on, guys? Oxide is here, your favorite 22-inch snake wrangler. We are talking about 10 more tips that will help you, or something that you should know as you're progressing through the game. Now, the last time I did this, they were, first off, I went through the video and I'm like, who is this guy? You know, he was blonde to the brim. He was super handsome still, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I could explain better. So this time I'm talking about both really basic stuff as well as a little bit more advanced things as well. So if you're fresh off the boat, this video might not be for you, but if you're like, I've been playing this game for a little bit longer, what else could you tell me? This is more of that kind of speed. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and let's get right on into it. All right, everyone, we are going to start with some stuff in the Destiny board that I find is very important for a new player to understand, and I think something that you can prioritize and think about when you're going through the game. And the first thing I want to talk about is learning points. So learning points are these little things up here. Learning points can be used to finish your progress on Destiny board nodes. If you have premium, you get 20 a day. If you're non-premium, you get 10, so on and so forth. Well, and the idea is, so let's say you want to get artifact swords up a little bit quicker, because these are very difficult to level up in the grand scheme of things. You can press auto learn or just press learn here, and what this will do, well, once you get past this little threshold right here, you press learn on here, and then your high testosterone all the way to the end, and now I'm level 30. Move on, and I can just continue on with my day. Now, you can do this. I'm not going to stop you, and if you want to really prioritize this, you do it. But let me suggest something for you. I suggest saving your learning points for your gathering, and here's why. So gathering, I've gone a couple of ways here, but I'm making headway into tier 6 Master Warrior, and let me tell you, I've been gathering here for maybe two hours. From tier 5, which is down here. Like you can see, this is tier 5 gear, is why I'm calling it this. The tier 6 gear, it's gonna take a while to go from here to here. You know, probably my guess is like 8 hours. I haven't tested it personally, but it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a lot of learning points to get from here to here. So I'm saving up to make sure once I get this point, I can learn it, and now I can wear tier 6 gear, tier 6 tools to start gathering a little bit quicker. So I recommend, when you're looking at your learning points, to kind of pick and choose where you want to use them. I believe crafting is kind of in a similar boat. It's going to take you a while to get crafting up. Not as long as gathering. I suggest on gathering to use it. Or again, if you're just like, I want to do combat, I would use it on your artifact combat and not just waste it on the non-artifact stuff. And I hope this helps. All right, number 2, this is not quite for new players, but I think it's gonna get you thinking as a new player a little bit. So I want to talk about combat credits, combat fame credits to be more specific. So in the beginning, I always recommend you choose one weapon to make your main weapon. I chose swords, and more specifically, I even chose broadswords. And right now, here lately, I've been kind of branching off and trying out other weapons, but I made sure to get swords to 100 first. And it's very important to why I did this. The main reason is these combat credits. Well, the main reason is like a pride thing, but the secondly is combat credits, okay? So combat credits, what this will do for you is, let's say this, so this gets to 100, and I still want to play with swords because I have a lot more, you know, a lot more artifact, a lot more dual swords, and even claymores and so on and so forth to level up. As I'm leveling this up, I'm still getting fame credits, or I'm still getting fame for sword fighter, but these credits are being stored, or this fame is being stored as credits way up here. I have 333,000, and I had this thing called auto respec on, and I believe it tells you right here. So when auto respec is active, you get more fame conversion at the cost of silver. Now it tells you down here active is 40% fame converted for the 75% silver cost. I don't really know the exact numbers on that because I have a hard time finding it, but I can tell you right now, I don't notice my silver ever really going down as I'm doing this. So I don't see any issue of why to turn this off. But you could, if you are worried about your silver being lost but I will tell you that this has helped immensely with me trying out other weapons and other pieces of gear on the combat section of things. You might have some questions like, does this work from, like, let's say I want to level up my gathering with these fame credits? No, it's only combat related fame stuff that this works on. So I could take these 333,000 fame credits, and let's say I want to start getting up my frost mage. I can click on this button here and be like, all right, level 2, let's go to level 10. That's going to cost me 130,000 fame credits. I can press confirm, and now I'm level 10, right? And if I want to go to level 20, I'm going to need another 192,000. I could confirm that, but I'm not going to do that right now. So you can see that, let's say you want to start working up another weapon, but you still really like swords. I can play swords all day, and then like it kind of does my grinding for me, so I can like get a jump start into the next weapon or piece of equipment. All right, guys. So this time I have a few points that are going to be related to the marketplace, and it'll be the easiest to show you within the marketplace. So sit down and listen. The first one is item quality and item power and how they're kind of connected. So item quality is over here. So for example, I'm showing you the carving sword. So the lowest possible quality you can get is normal. That costs 41,000. The cheapest one it gets is almost 42,000 silver. Okay, how much does a good one cost? 40,000. Which one would I rather buy, and why would I buy it? So we can take a look at this. As a good quality carving sword, the item power is 859. As a normal one, it's 849. So it's another 10 item power up. And you might be like, well, who cares? Well, first off, the good one's cheaper, so why not get the better piece of item? And secondly, I mean, you can also go to outstanding as well, so it's a little bit more for 869. And it's like, why does this matter? Well, what matters is the higher item power, generally it's going to increase your damage output in a way. It's going to increase like DPS. It's going to increase your ability damage just for having that extra item power. And well, like, it might be subtle, like 10 item power might be subtle, but it adds up when you start introducing your other equipment as well. So anytime I buy a piece of equipment, I will always sort by normal, then I'll go look at good, then outstanding, and then sometimes you might get lucky and someone's going to sell an excellent piece of equipment for pretty cheap as well, and then you pick that up before picking up anything less than that. So something to look at next time is when you go buy a piece of equipment, go look at the item quality. Maybe you can get a better deal, or maybe you'll spend an extra 1,000 silver, and you're gonna have a good time, or you're gonna get a better deal, a better item for maybe less or just a little bit extra silver. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about here is mount. I would call these my go-to mounts. So something that I want to talk about is, as a new player, what mounts make sense in certain scenarios. So the first scenario I can think of is gathering. As a new player, I recommend a stag. Okay, it's very expensive. Well, okay. If you have the money, get a stag. The reason I say stag is that you do get a weight bonus, as well as as pretty good speed. So you can take into a red zone and have a pretty good chance of outrunning somebody in the red zone, and you can go to from node to node a lot quicker. You can't afford a stag. Honestly, just a normal old riding horse isn't bad either. You don't get the you do get a little bit of a carry load weight bonus, as well as some movement speed and stuff like that. And also you can look at the quality and get an even better quality one as well if you wanted to. Also you could also use an ox, but an ox is better from when you go from one marketplace to another, or from one bank to another marketplace to sell your items at a different city. The reason I don't like using oxes for gathering is mainly because they're just slow, and you don't really need that much carrying capacity. Everything I say, take with a grain of salt, and do what you think is best. This is just my opinion on what from my experience in the game, is how I like doing it. If you want a general mount or any kind of content, red zone, black zone, blue and yellow zone, I cannot recommend this more, is the Swift Claw. So the reason I like the Swift Claw, and they're only tier 5 with enchantment ones, the reason you like these is that they're extremely fast. They get you from place to place to place, and believe it or not, they're actually the cheaper mounts to get with this kind of speed, with this kind of speed attached to it. Okay, so when I'm doing black zone dungeons, red zone dungeons, any type of dungeons, I take a swift claw with me. Yes, it's expensive, but if I get out of that red or black zone with a whole bunch of loot, you're gonna want this kind of speed, because I'm gonna tell you this right now, people who are ganking or people who are trying to catch you are going to be using swift claws too, or something maybe even faster. So you want that fast mount. Alternatively, you could use a riding horse. That way it's something that's cheap and can be thrown away if you do get killed. However, I would go with the swift claw. All right. And then the last thing I want to talk about is another possibility for when you go into red and black zones is an armored. Hold on. Armored. Oh, probably because it's tier 5 enchantment 1 is an armored horse. This is something you can think of too. They're a little bit cheaper. The movement speed isn't as great as a swift claw, but however, they have the armor and they have a little bit more health, so they are a little bit more difficult to take down. So this is something you can think of too when you go into a little bit more dangerous zone. But if you're staying in the blue and yellow zone, you can afford a swift claw and you can move from dungeon to dungeon a little bit quicker. Why not take the faster option, right? All right, guys. On this one, I'm gonna talk about potions. So potions are something that you shouldn't shy away from. A lot of these potions have different tiers that you can use, and they all have their own special purpose. So let's get into them. First off is a poison potion. A tier 8 one does insane amount of damage to both creatures and players. You use these for things like ganking. If you're trying to gank someone who's like on a horse, you can throw this at a horse or a swift claw, and it's gonna like knock down that mount's health pretty quickly and allow you to kind of step in and get them and like try to dismount them. Secondarily, if you're in like a red zone or a black zone dungeon and someone's trying to gank you, you can have this as a defensive option or as an offensive option to try to get them down without them expecting it. Okay, so they're always good to have on you when you're in PvP situations, or even if you're trying to dodge PvP situations. Okay. Secondarily, I guess I'd probably. Yeah, we'll go here. So secondarily, we can look at invisibility potions. Invisibility potions are also really good for protecting yourself. So if you're in a red or black zone dungeon, I know this is gonna be kind of like, well, I'm a new player, I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm hoping these tips kind of urge you to take a couple more steps into the red and black zones, because that's where the real content starts to get a lot of fun. Invisibility potions you can keep on your person when you're gathering. Say you're trying to get ganked, you can pop this, run away, and hopefully you can get to a safe space while doing it. Alternatively, if you're in a solo dungeon and someone comes in and tries to gank you and you're in the middle of a boss fight, you can pop the invisibility potion, get out of combat, let your food regen you, or like regenerate your health. There you go. And then you can inspect the other player, see if he's, if you can even attempt to kill him, or you should run away. It gives you that time to think, basically. All right. The next one I would say is the healing potion. These are just fantastic to have when you go do PvE stuff. If you're in the middle of a tough boss fight, you can pop one of these, and you'll have that recovery during the fight, and probably put you in a pretty good place to be able to kill that boss and get some sweet high octane loot. And then finally, something I've recently jumped into are energy potions. So a lot of these are used in more, or how I've been using them personally is in group content. Like I was a healer and I didn't really have any, or when the battles got more difficult, I was really going through energy and mana very quickly. You pop one of these, a tier 4 one's pretty cheap, and you instantly get 50% energy regen, or just regen it immediately. And what this does, it allows you to finish the battle, and then at the while you're in between battles, you can you switch to a different ability on your gear, get your energy back up, go back, and now you have this for the next tough battle as well. And again, all these have different tiers, so you can use them for different tiers in the game. I recommend going with the highest one you can afford at the time. I usually go with the highest one, so I go tier 8 poison potions, tier 8 invisibility, tier 6 healing, and then tier 4 energy. I think energy goes a little bit higher, but 50% is a ton, so you might not want to go even higher than that, honestly. But don't be afraid of potions. They're there for a reason. Use them. All right, so on this one, I'm going to show you something you can think about when you want to sell stuff on the marketplace as well. it's just something that it took me a while to really not really understand, but to really implement when I'm thinking about selling stuff on the item on the marketplace here. And it's all about, you know, you're getting into some dirty business here. Not really dirty, but you want to make sure you think about this kind of stuff. So Grandmaster's Rune, I can straight up sell it. What does it mean by when you just say sell versus sell order? So sell means that there is somebody with a buy order here who is willing to buy it for 729. Okay, that's 3% below the average marketplace value for this item. Well, if you look over here at sell orders, someone is selling this for 847. All right, so when you go to sell order, it's going to match the lowest amount. Well, okay, how about you undercut it to 845? Okay, so you're selling it more for than the highest buy order, but you're selling it lower than the lowest sell order. So your items might actually sell at a higher price than this and quicker than these guys. You can also look at market history. So looking at this, average price that's been sold is 728. It spikes to 836 and then back down to 728. So maybe, just maybe, you can think about this. This might not sell at 845 and it might just sit in your marketplace for the next 2 months. So maybe, all right, it's better off just to sell it for 729 and just be okay with it. And the same goes for everything here. So this one is they want it for 200, or I have a sell order for 204 and make pennies more that way. So if it were me, I'm just gonna sell it straight up and get the money right away, because I'm 100 silvers doesn't mean that much to me, not anymore. You know, I'm not saying I'm Jeff Bezos when it comes to the money in this game, but 100 silver doesn't really do much for me. So I'd rather just get the money now and then go along with my day. But again, here, sell order 921, or I can or sorry, it's 52, or I can sell it for 54. And it might take a little bit longer, and the average price is 52. Why not just sell it for 52 and get your money right away? All right, so on this one, I am going to talk about gathering gear. Not really gear, the weapon you should bring. So in gathering, you have an option. You could just wield the tool you're using if you want to save up room. Not the best idea. The best idea is to have something like a weapon, for a couple of reasons. The first reason being is that if there's a mob in the way, so for example, let's say I wanted to mine this right here, he's probably going to aggro on me. If he doesn't, even better, but let's say he does. You want to be able to take him out with some kind of weapon, and then you know easy peasy that way, right? Because like, you know, if you get hit while gathering, it kind of resets everything, so it's not a good idea. All right, so you want to have some kind of weapon. Not only do you want to have some kind of weapon that you can deal damage with and kill those mobs or enemy players that come near you, you also want to be able to run away with this weapon. So something like the double bladed staff is really good for that. Why? Because you have cartwheel, which gives you a mobility boost. You have something like stun run, which will increase your move speed, and your next auto attack will stun the enemy, so you can stun them and run away. But sometimes you don't want to start combat, so you can leave areas and enter areas, because if you go into combat, then you will not be able to leave the area. But if you still need to run away, maybe give you some time to mount up, you can run stun run and hit him, run away, and then try to mount up and stuff like that. And also it has crescent slash, which this is more of a mobility thing as well. So like if someone's chasing me, like they're coming from over here, I can cartwheel away, I can increase my movement speed, and I can dash away as well, right? And all at the same time, I have these cooldowns happening, and you know, and then like they just kind of reset. I also have a couple of other things on my gathering gear, so it's important to have a weapon with you at all times when gathering. Red and black zones, even in yellow zones, to kill the mobs around the stuff you're trying to gather. All right, so in this one, I do want to talk about guilds and why you should care as a new player of getting into one or not getting into one. So I'm not going to tell you to get in one, because I didn't get into a guild as a new player for a very long time. I don't really regret it, but I there's a lot of benefits to getting into a guild, even as a new player. Okay, so a lot of big guilds, like I'm in the Bacons here, which is more of like an alliance. An alliance are just an extension of guilds, stuff like that. And what this allows me to do as a more veteran player is I have more presence in the black zone. If you're a new player, you probably don't care about that yet, but you will, but you don't, not yet. So why does it matter to you? What matters is that you're not the only beginner in this game or in these guilds, and there's a ton of people who would love to do tier 5 fame farming, you know, tier 5 or low level farming in areas that are safe, like yellow zones and blue zones. So it's something to consider. And it's easy as just going to the guild tab. Going to the guild tab, and then you don't see it here because I'm in a guild. And you can sort by beginner right here, and then you can go through, see what the guild's about, see what the requirements are, you know, join their Discord, talk to them, and see if you like it. I joined the Bacon Bits and the Bacons because the Bacon Bits are the more beginner guild, and they've been nothing but friendly and really nice, and they haven't coerced me or made me do content I didn't feel comfortable doing. So and that's why I chose them. But you don't have to, don't join the Bacons unless you want to. Join, you know, go through the list, look through them, and figure out what you want to do. Now, if you're like, okay, all right, guilds sound interesting, what's the big benefit? To me, the big benefit is the presence within the black zone. You feel a lot safer in certain areas. So like here, there's also these things called hideouts, which is what I'm showing you right here is a hideout. And a hideout is basically just like a small little city within your guild. So you have like a bank you can get into. You also have a like a repair shop, a marketplace, and some of these, it kind of depends. Some of these marketplaces really aren't that great, but it's a place where I can go into the black zone, you know, full loot PvP. I can do my gathering, I can do my like dungeon, my solo dungeoning over here. Then I can come back, and you're completely safe when you're inside the hideout. You know, enemies can't come in here and hurt you. You're safe. So it's nice to be in a guild. I recommend it. Just be careful and don't join a guild with a tax that's like crazy high. Okay. All right, guys. So on this one, I want to talk about blue zone HeckGates. This is not going to be like, here's some tips on how to do a HeckGate. I am not good at them, and I do not want to give you false tips on them. This is just to let you know that blue zone HeckGates are completely safe, and you can do them for practice, and you will not lose any of your gear. You might lose durability in your gear, don't get me wrong, but if you go down while you're doing a blue zone HeckGate, either in this portion or when you're within the HeckGate itself, you will not lose any of your equipment. So grab a partner, grab a friend, come and do these. They're in all the blue zones. All right, they're in the tier 4 ones. I don't think they're in the tier 3 ones. No, but in all the tier 4 ones, you will see that there are HeckGates. So, and in order to spot a HeckGate, especially in a blue zone one, is if you click on it here, and you'll look and see these 4 little like squares right next to each other, basically, just like in this pattern. And that's how you know you're at a HeckGate. Okay, you can come over to pin Correg, and it's right there, brother. Also, you can press N just to bring up the map locally, and that's how you know. Also, let's see if we can get into one real quick. I'm by myself, and do not use this build. I repeat, do not use this build. This is me just showing you that you don't lose any of your equipment if you die here. First off, you can't die to these guys, so they can't, like, you have to worry about it here. You also, if you die to the demon that spawns, you don't lose any of your equipment again. You might just lose durability. Hold on. Let's see if I did enough damage here. Probably not. I did not. So if you don't know, you have to do enough damage in the HeckGate to that demon in order to enter the HeckGate. All right, so what are you gonna do? But anyways, guys, again, getting the point across, you can do blue zone HeckGates without losing any of your gear. Get out there, grab a fan, get going. All right, guys, so there's a reason I say this one to the very end, because a lot of people might not need this tip, but I thought, why not have a place in my videos where you can find this exact tip? And again, you'll see why it's at the very end. I'm going to be talking about the acronyms, the short little words you might see like FF or HG, and you might not know what it means, and I'm here to tell you what everything means here. So first and foremost is HG. You can imagine that means HeckGate. If you see something like BZHG, that might mean blue zone or black zone HeckGate. Or you might see something that says like tier 7 HeckGate. That means it's in a tier 7 zone, and or tier 7 HG. It's tier 7 zone, and it's a HeckGate along with it. Next is FF. FF means for fame farming. Fame farming is basically exactly what it sounds like. You might be going to a solo dungeon and farming fame off of just the mobs there. You might be like looking for a group, LFG, looking for a group of a fame farming, or looking for a group FF, which means fame farming, and that means you and a bunch of individuals will go do a little bit higher tier dungeon together, speed clear it or do whatever, and that's going to farm up fame and get you boosted in some levels. Boosted in a good way, not like, oh, that's malicious, you said boosted. No, it's legit, don't worry. GVG means guild versus guild, and CGVG is crystal guild versus guild, and those are something you'll probably never even be a part of until later in the game, and that's just kind of some PvP aspects of the game. Crystal's like a league, and you get rewards, stuff like that for it as well, but you might see it, and I figured I'd throw it into this video. ZVZ, so this is Zerg v Zerg. This one's interesting. This one is where you have a whole, it's usually guild versus guild kind of content. You have a whole bunch of people in one guild fighting another guild with a whole bunch of people, and it's like getting after it. I think it's based off kind of like StarCraft, where it's like the Zergs. There's a whole bunch of Zergs is how they fight. You know, they fight in numbers. That's the idea behind it. Again, something you might be a part of if the guild's like, hey, come be a part of the ZVZ. We need more bodies. That does happen from time to time. So be ready for that if your guild wants you to do that. There's different builds and guides on it. I recommend just looking those up for yourself. Finally, if you see something that says T and then a number, that means tier that number, and they could be talking about dungeons or even gear. So for example, if we're talking about gear here, we can actually take a look at my setup here. This is considered a T6 gear, so it's Roman numeral 6, the tier 6 gear. This is considered tier 7.1 because it's 7 with a point with one enchantment on it. Okay, you can also be talking about dungeons as well. Dungeons have like a tier 7.1 dungeon. That means it's a solo map with 0.1 on it. And usually when something says like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, it is just that tier, but like way better or way more difficult in terms of that as well. All right, and that's gonna be it, guys. I hope these tips help. I hope, and maybe these are tips you've seen on some other videos, and the whole point was something that I thought was like, every player should kind of know these tips, or at least have an idea of what these things are when you progress through the game. The last time I did this, they were definitely a lot more simple and really towards the brand new, fresh off the boat player. These ones are definitely more of like, hey, I've been playing the game for about a week now. Maybe I'm thinking about going into some more high tier stuff. But I know I put in some more like very basic tips here as well. So hopefully this helps out quite a wide range of people. Like the video, please like it, comment on it, subscribe to it. Also, if you're like, hey, can you talk about this tip a little bit more in a future video? Please do so, or please comment below, and maybe it'll give you more ideas to really elaborate on certain parts of the video. And with that being it, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good one.